you so much, my colleagues, for allowing me to present my presentation. I'm happy to attend this presentation, this conference as a presenter, and as also to listen for your informative sessions. Today, I'm going to talk about the International Standardized Test, which is the PISA. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Othman Abu Kurma. I'm an assistant professor in the Curriculum and Instruction Division at the Emirates College for Advanced Education, based in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Today, we are going to talk about the influence of learning environment to students' non-cognitive outcomes, looking through the PISA lens. So this is my presentation. First of all, let me share with you the plan. I'm going to talk about the overall research, what is my methodology and the data analysis that I have followed, the significant results and how can we proceed, transfer these results into our reality. And of course, if you have any questions at the end, we can maybe address them. First of all, let's talk shortly about the PISA. As you know, PISA is one of the international standardized tests that has been started for the past 15 years, sponsored, nurtured, and delivered by OECD. As you know that it talks about student scientific literacy, who age 15. It produces background scores that reflect students' attitude and learning and their learning environment. So it gives you a reflection about the level of performance of students across international countries. So this is basically what does the PISA score. In this research, I tried to use this secondary analysis for the PISA that was conducted in 2015. As you know that it's happening every set of 3 years. The population for this research was 14,000 plus students from the different Emirates of United Arab Emirates. Half of them were male students and the other half was female. So the purpose of the study simply is to examine the relationship between the students' perceptions of learning environment and the non-cognitive outcomes. Okay, as you know that we have cognitive and non-cognitive outcomes. So the cognitive outcomes, there are a lot of research that has addressed such interest of areas. But for the non-cognitive outcomes, we are talking about 3 main that are related to students' achievement. First of all, the epistemological beliefs. The second one is the self-efficacy and the anxiety. These are 3 non-cognitive outcomes that were influenced by students' perceptions of their learning environment. So these are the 3 things that we wanted to know if they will predict students' achievement or not, if they have any influence or not on their performance academically. Okay, so as you know, we need to first to define the learning outcomes based on students' perception. So we have concluded that the PISA test, the international standardized test, has a construct of 7 components for this learning environment. As you know that cooperation, for example, if this learning environment reflects a collaboration and a social efforts among students and even among students and teachers. Disciplinary climate, we're going to talk about that. Science laboratory environment, teacher support, teacher strategy, teacher feedback, and teacher adaptation. So these are the components of the learning environment based on students' perception. But we need to know how can these 7 components of the learning environment will influence the non-cognitive outcomes, which are the anxiety, self-efficacy, and epistemological beliefs. First of all, what do we mean by anxiety? As you know that it's a normal response to any pressure exposed to students. For example, if students are in rush, they need to let's say pass in one of the exams, they will feel that pressure. So an anxiety reflects let's say to some extent a normal response of that pressure. However, this anxiety level could be increased based on a specific circumstances that a teacher or even students will be exposed to. Self-efficacy reflects the confidence of students to see whether they are confident enough in their capabilities to perform well or not, or if they are motivated to learn more. The last thing, which is the epistemological beliefs, it's like an attitude. If students are able or they acknowledge that the science is not stable thing that can be generated, can be increased by their efforts, in this case, students will predict their science achievement. If someone is saying that I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science, let me just focus on languages, for example, this could affect the way they predict their science achievement. So this is one of the things that can be let's say an indicator about their epistemological beliefs. So here is our research model. As you can see, we have these 7 constructs, the 7 components of the learning environment that will affect the 3 non-cognitive outcomes of the students, let's say, performance. As you can see them here, we need to test or to assess whether these learning outcomes or learning environment outcomes will influence or will predict, or will assess these 3 non-cognitive outcomes or not. So we have used these methodologies. First of all, the CFA, the confirmatory factor analysis that was undertaken to using analysis of moment structure, and also used the structural equation modeling, the SEM. And the last thing, which is the path. We have used path coefficient that has been calculated in this structural equation. Why did we use the path? Because it reflects the strength and the direction of the relationship. For example, the anxiety, we need to see the anxiety and the student's perception. Anxiety could be let's say a negative factor. We don't need the anxiety to be in a big let's say number, or to result like or to affect the result, the student's results badly. So this could also be one of the path coefficient results. Here are the results of the discussion. Let me give you some examples about these results. For example, there was a significant relationship between the cooperation and epistemological beliefs. For example, if students feel that he needs help from his colleagues and he get that help and get that support, this will affect his confidence in achieving any scientific, let's say, concepts, or achieving any scientific theories, and so on. So these theories were supported by the path coefficient, as you can see, and the path coefficient gives us a positive value, which means there is a significant differences between these 2 variables. For example, let's take the second one. There is a relationship between cooperation and self-efficacy. For example, if we have some students who are collaborate together to, let's say, to complete an assignment, to work together to produce, let's say, a project, or to work on a specific problem or a mathematical problem, these actions or behaviors, let's call them the social behaviors, will affect the way they look at themselves, if they were capable or not. For example, this self-efficacy will be increased significantly because they feel that there is someone in that classroom will help them to address that problem, or there is let's say a secure source of information that is existed in the classroom, or so maybe from the teacher itself. Okay, let me take another example. I'm not going to go over all of these, But let's say that, for example, disciplinary climate and anxiety. What does that mean? As you can see, the path coefficient gives us a negative value. What does that mean? If there is a fair learning environment, okay, where all the ground rules are clear for everyone, and students feel that they will be supported by fair actions, let's say forced by teachers, established by school, then the anxiety level of these students will be decreased. Why decreased? Because the value is negative. Okay, so what does that mean? If you, as a school or a learning environment, if you are trying to dedicate a fair learning environment, this will decrease the anxiety level, okay, for students. If students know that if someone will hurt them, he will be punished. Let's say punished means that we are taking some, let's say, marks. We're not talking about any physical punishments, but we're talking about that disciplinary climate means that there is a high expectation culture, that students are encouraged to perform well, encouraged to behave well, encouraged to respect others, encouraged to regard each other's opinion, and so on. Okay, let's take another example. Science laboratory environment and self-efficacy. There is a significant difference between these two variables based on the PISA attempts. By the way, PISA studies are considered. Why? Because we are talking about a big number of students involved in this research. We are talking about thousands of, in this case, we are talking about in the United Arab Emirates, we are talking about 14,000 students. So when there is a significant relationship between science laboratory environment and self-efficacy, this means that this relationship is significant. So what does that mean? It means that when students feel that they are enjoying their time at the science laboratory environment, they feel that they are capable enough to perform well. They have the opportunity to show their competency. They have the opportunity to enhance their success. So this is what we mean by significant difference. Let's take another. By the way, I'm going to share with you the link for this research so you can maybe read more, or you can ask me some questions at the end. Let me give you another example here. For example, if you can see hypothesis number 19 and number 23. As you can see here, the T value is too high, okay? So there is a significant difference between teacher adaptation and epistemological belief. What does that mean? If you are, as a teacher, giving your students information to consume, they would feel that these are the constant information that cannot be changed. So my efforts useless. I shouldn't be, as a student, I shouldn't, let's say, exert efforts. I shouldn't do well. That's it. The teacher will give me everything. But here it says that if students feel that the science or the information can be increased, can be generated, then this is related to the teacher's adaptation, which means that the teacher here is using something we call it investigational skills. What does that mean? He is encouraging students to make hypotheses, test these hypotheses, then to collect and data to measure the hypothesis, then to analyze the results of these hypotheses, and finally to draw a scientific conclusion based on the evidence that they get. So what does that mean? That students are encouraged and motivated to generate knowledge rather than just acknowledging that the knowledge is something static and cannot be changed or cannot be increased unless there is a teacher to provide it. So this is what we mean by epistemological beliefs, that students think that regardless the number of scientists we have on this planet, I can be one of them, I can generate a new information, and so on, which reflects a motivation, an inner motivation, not just a physical reinforcement. The other hypothesis 23, sorry, I think 19, no, 23. There is also a significant difference between the epistemological beliefs and self-efficacy. What does that mean? If students feel that they can contribute to the creation of the knowledge, they will feel that confident, that will motivate them in the future to learn. So these are two important things. Nobody can feel that he is confident or she is confident enough to learn unless he knows that the information can be always generated, not just consumed. Okay, so these are the most of the hypotheses that were supported by the research. But the last thing here, these factors were not supported. When we analyzed these relationships, we found that there is no prediction between these variables. For example, there is no relationship between disciplinary climate and self-efficacy. For example, if someone trusts his ability and he feels that he is confident enough to perform well, he is confident enough to regulate his learning, he is confident enough to manage his time and to learn more, it's not related to what teachers expect from them. Or let's say as a behavior, I'm talking about the behavior because we are talking about disciplinary climate. I'm talking about hypothesis number 5, the first one at the top. So for example, if teachers feel that, if students feel that this climate doesn't suit them, this won't affect their trust of their abilities. For example, if they feel that they were encouraged enough from their parents, from their community, that disciplinary climate at schools won't affect them based on the study. And as you can see, it's the path coefficient, it's negative, and the t-value is negative, which means negative with negative will be positive relationship, which means not supported. Okay, I'll give you the last example. Let's take, for example, the teacher's feedback with anxiety. Okay, there is no relationship between the amount of the feedback or the quality of the feedback provided by a teacher and the level of anxiety. Why? As long as that information provided by the teachers are considered to be only as a feedback. Okay, why? Because feedback should be given for learning purposes, not for assessment purposes. If these feedback points will be given as an assessment purposes, in this case there is an anxiety. But for a teacher's feedback and anxiety, they are not related as long as we are talking about feedback. Why? Because feedback doesn't judge students' ability. This is why they feel relaxed. They wouldn't have any kind of anxiety. So these are the 3 slides about the hypothesis. 2 slides, as you can see here, provides us the supported results, and the last slide can talk about those hypotheses were not supported. What does that mean for us? We need to know that students could feel supported by their teachers and peers. Social collaboration among students is vital, as based on Vygotsky theory, that you need to encourage students to be social with themselves and to create the knowledge, co-create the knowledge with their friends at schools, and ask always for help socially from their teachers and from their peers. Why? Because this will have a greater self-efficacy. Also to support and to engage learning environments that will also promote students' efficacy beliefs. They need to know that knowledge can be always generated. Information can be gathered. You don't need just to consume the information that are communicated to you through, let's say, teachers or other colleagues. Creating a positive and supportive learning environment can play an important role in enhancing student self-efficacy. What does that mean? That means that we, or educators or teachers, should care about the emotional behaviors, and to, let's say, to regard students, not just academic needs, also their personal needs. If they feel tired, if they feel bored, you can, as a teacher, be flexible to change the agenda or to get them to, let's say, to a creative learning environment and so on. Why? Because this will be reflected to their self-efficacy beliefs. Okay. The last thing here is that students' beliefs of the learning environment, epistemological beliefs, and science outcomes scores were associated positively. These 3 non-cognitive outcomes are associated positively. If students are feeling the nature of the science can be always produced and increased, this means that they can always be motivated to learn, motivated to participate in investigation skills, and so on. Also, for future studies, it's a good chance to explore a step further to find out the associations between learning environment, teacher factors, and attitudes towards science and students' performance in PISA tests. Again, as I said earlier, that the PISA test will give us like a prediction or an indicator. What are the relationship between all of these factors related to students' environment and their academic achievement or their science achievement or their mathematical achievement and so on. So if you would like to predict someone's achievement, you need to look surrounding you need to look for the factors surrounding that students. Okay, there will be a lot of opportunities in the future to investigate how the students' perception specific aspects of the learning environment interact with epistemological beliefs and influence the learning outcomes. So this is our research topic. Thank you so much for your active listening. If you would like to scan this QR code, you can read the whole research. And please feel free to ask any questions if you would like to elaborate more. Thank you so much, my colleagues.
Vertical poles, and topology is just a collection of open sets. You want the empty space and the whole space to be open. Unions of open sets are open, and finite intersections of open sets are open. And this allows us to characterize nearness. So, for example, if you have an app that says press any key to continue, then what is close to the correct input? Well, anything would be close to the correct input. So you could actually have a distance function that measures this closeness, and everything is 0 away from what you're looking for. If anything you put in has a discrepancy of 0 from what would work. But if the app asks you for your password and it grants you access based on how close your entry is to the actual password, then your password has to be exact. So what's close to that password, just that point itself is close. So here you have a distance function. The exact thing is correct. Anything else is way off, which we'll consider to be 1 unit away. Or if you're measuring bags of potatoes and they're supposed to be 5 kilos and they cannot leave the warehouse if they're less than 5 kilos, then close would mean 5 kilos or a little closer than that, but not under 5 kilos. So this gives you close without going under. Another topology is the single transmitter topology. In a line of people, one person has COVID and can transmit it to people that are less than 1 unit away, but everyone else is not transmitting to anywhere. So that would be a topology there. And topologies, some of these topologies arise from metrics, and a metric is a distance function, behaves like you would expect Euclidean distances to be. The distance from a point to itself is 0, and if the distance between 2 points is 0, then the 2 points are equal. The distance from x to y is the same as the distance from y to x, and the triangle inequality, which simply says the shortest distance between 2 points is the straight line. If you go out of your way, and then if you go to a third destination before you get to your final destination, then that's longer than going directly to the original destination. And you may sometimes drop the symmetry condition from metric so that the distance from x to y is not the distance from y to x. So distances along one-way streets, for example, or distances measured in energy consumption if you're going up or downstream would have asymmetric distances. So here's a quasi-metric. The distance from x to y is the usual distance if y is bigger than x. So to the right of x, you're measuring usual distances, and the distance is 0 if you're to the left of x. So to the left of x, then you get everything for free because that's 0 away, but to the right of x, you only get the usual distances. So you get a left raise here, raise going off to the left. Or you could have the usual distances to the right, and everything to the left is 1 away, and 1 is considered to be a large distance away. So you get the usual distances to the right, and nothing to the left is close. So this generates kind of that lower limit topology, like the bags of potatoes topology. Well, here's another hybrid topology. You can give certain points raised to the left as their neighborhoods, and all the other points on the real line raised to the right as their neighborhoods. So this is called the left ray, right ray hybrid topology. And here's what you have here. The red points have raised to the right as their open neighborhoods, and the blue points have raised to the left as their open neighborhoods. But since intersections of open sets are open, when you intersect the red with the blue, you should get intervals that are open. So this looks like the usual nearness in the middle here, the usual Euclidean distances, Euclidean neighborhoods in the middle. But if you're below the smallest element of A, then you have a longer neighborhood here. Or if you're above the largest element of B, you have a longer neighborhood there. So what this models is, if you bend this line at the smallest element of A and the largest element of B, then the neighborhoods pictured here show up here. And this would be measured to thinking of, say, this is a vertical pole, and this is a vertical pole. You have 2 vertical poles here, and you have just enough energy to travel a certain distance. Well, it requires energy to travel up the pole, but down the pole requires no added energy. Gravity will pull you down the pole without you using any energy for that. So you can go up the pole a little distance, you slide down the pole as far as you like for free, and then you can travel over land till you run out of fuel there or run out of energy. And in the middle here, you have enough energy to go a little to the left, a little to the right. And on the right pole, you have enough energy to go up a little bit. You can slide down the pole for free, and then you can move to the left there. So this model actually models this vertical distance, 2 vertical poles here, this left-right hybrid topology. It turns out this topology actually arises from a distance function. It's a quasi-metric, and you can see it has to be defined in several pieces here. I won't go into the details, but it is defined by a distance metric based upon whether your basic neighborhood of A was a ray to the right, or if it was a neighborhood, the basic neighborhoods were raised to the left, and then where the point falls in relation to the largest element of B or the smallest element of A. You can also answer other questions about this is what sets are compact in here, and that has a technical meaning, and there are lattice questions as well. But and you could generate other similar questions. What if you instead of having these open rays, what if you had closed rays, or you can even make bounded rays? But that gives the idea of what I'm doing here, and here are some references, and thank you.
Is Mohammed Yusuf, is contract engineer at AB Contracting and student master at Arab Academy for Science and Technology. The presentation is about the impact of FIDIC conditions on time delay in construction projects. Let me say construction claims are the most damage in construction projects. So this paper clarifies the most common causes of construction delay, whether time and or cost. So this paper finds solution to avoid construction claims with different versions of FIDIC. FIDIC 99 and FIDIC 2017. This paper examined 52 construction claims classified into 3 groups study based on the types of projects within Egyptian construction project. commercial projects, and residential projects. Literature review, various studies have been conducted and interested only to appear the causes of delay that can later lead to construction claims in 2006 and 2007 and 2022. However, in the following case studies, can appear the extract the entitlement, but only in special conditions in FEDEC. Not all conditions of FEDEC in different versions of FEDEC. And this another studies shows the causes of delay in another countries, not on Egyptian construction projects. However, most of these studies focused only on descriptions, the causes of claims, and analysis them, and failed to addressing how to describe the impact of FEDEC conditions on different construction projects, taking into consideration each version of FEDEC. The following sector will discuss methodology, number 1, number 2, result and discussion, number 3, conclusion, number 4, future work. Methodology. Step number 1, some selected case studies applications were considered. Table number 1, number of causes of claims in literature case study. Number of causes of claims, and the number of causes of claims in selected case studies. Then number 2, analysis of causes of construction delay according to conditions of different FEDEC versions. The construction claims were categorized according to the type of FEDEC, FEDEC 99 and FEDEC 2017. After collecting construction claims with their various causes for different construction projects, they were categorized according to the type of FEDEC. Step number 3, we extract the entitlement of contractor and owner according to FEDEC versions. This step is very, very, very important because the following sector presents the research steps to achieve the objectives, and figure 1 illustrates the adapted research methodology. Flowchart. Result and discussions. After determining the important indicate for each delay factor in various construction claims, our causes were sorted according to impact level and their relative importance. The Pareto analysis was applied to classify and determine the most remarkable and fatal factors. In the end, the entitlement of the contractor is an extension of time and or extra costs is based on the claim analysis, and it is compliance with FEDEC clauses. The factor of clauses of FEDEC. The different causes of delay in construction claims determine the type of entitlement of the contractor. According to case studies, the following result shows the ranking of causes of claims based on their importance for different point of view for the case studies. The contractor entitlement is divided into 3 terms. Number 1, extension of time. Number 2, cost plus profit. Number 3, cost. Table number 2, the entitlement of contractor according to causes of claims. Causes of claims. Number 1, variation and adjustment is very important and effect of construction projects. Number 2, delays, drawing or instruction. Number 3, unforeseeable physical conditions, maybe a condition, measurement and evaluation, extension of time for completion. Number 6, adjustment for change in law. This clause is different in different versions of FEDEC, FEDEC 1099 and FEDEC 2017. Maybe the contractor entitlement cost and the different versions maybe extension of time, EOT. Table number 3. Liability of any party to the project is very important. The causes of claim and liability of any party to the project, owner or consultant or others. Figure number 2, Pareto analysis to determine the most critical factors from the overall results. Number 1, the cause of claim is variation and adjustment delay. And number 2, unforeseeable physical conditions. Number 3, measurement, and the last adjustment for change in law. This chart an important notes from the Pareto analysis is that construction delay, which causes contractors to suffer, may arise for incurable physical studies. The figure below illustrates the entitlement of each delay graphically. Table number 4 shows the entitlement of contractor in different FEDEC versions related to case studies. Table number 4, the entitlement of contractor in different FEDEC versions. FEDEC 99 and FEDEC 2017 cost can 15 and FEDEC 2017 is 2. In table number 4 illustrates the weight of entitlement of the contractor in FEDEC 99 and 2017 according to the selected case study. This illustrates the weight of entitlement of the contractor in FEDEC 99 in cost bigger than in FEDEC 2017. However, the entitlement of EOT and or cost in FEDEC 2017 bigger than in FEDEC 99. Figure number 3 illustrates the entitlement of contractor in FEDEC 99. And figure number 4, the entitlement of contractor in different versions of FEDEC is FEDEC 2017. The above charts illustrates a different entitlement of contractor in different versions in FEDEC 99 and 2017 and shows a different entitlement of contractor in different use of FEDEC versions. After determining the entitlement of every stakeholders in the different versions of FEDEC, the percentage of construction claims of very case should be determined. The following table illustrates the percentage of delay in previous case studies. Table number 5, the percentage of delay in previous case studies, case number and time and cost, percentage of delay. Figure number 5, the percentage of construction delay for time and cost in previous case study. And then table number 6 illustrates the expected time for this causes of claim to occur during the implementation of the project. This is very important to avoid this causes of claims and expected in during the implementation of the project. Number 1, delays of payment to contractors and cash flow problems during construction may be occur during construction. Error of design drawing and specifications may be occur starting of projects and etc. After showing the 11 causes of claims entitlement for each cause and the impact of FEDEC clauses, the following table number 3 illustrates the expected time for these causes of claims to occur during the implementation of the project. Avoiding claims required specific consideration, such as understanding the contractual conditions of the project's contract and genuine desire to minimize delays that lead to claims. This has to be considered from day 1 of this project until the frame of the sequence of final accounts. The employer must consider reasonable time for the project design to produce a complete and detailing drawing and specification, submit a proper mechanism to evaluate the construction variations. It's a very important developing the role of project management. It will improve the contractual relations among all stakeholders. This research aims to avoid by using FEDEC conditions, so claims are fact of life, or claims are here to stay. Construction projects have no guarantee that claims could be avoided, which is a significant challenge. Additionally, avoiding construction claims and disputes require an understanding of the causes of claims and their types. This research paves the way for possible future research about the causes of construction claims and the analysis of the contractual clauses in contracts, such as investigation the causes of variation orders, determine and analysis the causes of construction claims in other African and developing countries. The most important factors identified by the construction claims were financial by the contractor during the implementation of the scope of work in the construction contract. Taking into consideration the biggest problem facing construction projects is the difficulty of financing along within project time, as this is considered a global issue. So this paper recommended the following. Number one, create well-balanced conditions for contract engineer and employer rights and their responsibility, such as FEDEC, determine construction clauses related to times of employer engineer replies, approval, variation, and payment, time frames to reply. Determine the procedures for the provisions of corrective mechanism for proceeding and evaluating variation and claims in the contraction balance clauses in the construction contract. This is Appendix A. This is illustrate the clauses that have been used in FEDEC 99. Number 8.4 is extension of time for completion. Works to measurement is the number 20.1 and etc. The clauses that have been used in FEDEC 2017 is adjustment for changes in law and variation procedures and delays drawing or instructions and enforceable physical conditions and works to be measured and extension of time for completion. This is all clauses that used in cases studies. Thank you.